everyone, and welcome to Night Caller's Bigfoot Radio. My name is Laurie Hood, and I'm here tonight with my daughter, Lauren Smith, and her husband, Ricky Smith. And we are wondering where Jeff is. And I bet he is tied up rescuing an animal or no telling what. But he'll show up soon, I hope. But anyway, we're here.
Probably
How's
still trying
everything?
to get over the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, was he rooting for Atlanta?
I don't know.
I don't know. I tell you what, I have so enjoyed the comments on Facebook about this Super Bowl game yesterday. It's just been something else. Yeah. Early in the game, somebody said somebody had typed in New England does realize they do have a game today. And then later there were people threatening to that they, since their team did not win, they were going to throw deflated footballs in the windows, protest. And it was just crazy, just silly stuff, and it was just really great. Did y'all watch the game?
No, the best part of the game for me was when it was over.
Oh.
I could care less about football.
Well, I would have watched it, but I only have one channel out here on Booger Hill, and that is a local channel with the antenna, so we live pretty primitive, and so I had to kind of rely on everybody on Facebook to keep me informed about the score and everything else, so anyway. Oh, well, did you guys have a big Super Bowl party?
Us? Oh,
Who
no.
are you talking to? Are you talking to the non-football people on here? Cause
yeah, I watched the first 4 movies of Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically.
Oh, well.
That's what I'm saying. The best part of the Super Bowl was when it was over. I could care less about it.
Oh, no, I like to watch the game. I really do. But I really like to watch the whole season. So it's better when you watch the Super Bowl because then you've watched how they got there and everything. And but I don't get football on ABC. It doesn't play football or any that I want to see anyway. So. But so how's everybody been doing? I know that last week we weren't on. We want to apologize for that, but we did have a death in the family, and so anyway. But we're back tonight and ready to rock and roll. You guys ready to bring our guest on?
Yeah. Definitely. I will read his bio if you want, and then we can do that.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, I say that. Okay. Night Caller's Bigfoot Radio presents Greg Yost of Indiana. Greg Yost is from Louisville, Kentucky, and now resides in Jeffersonville, Indiana, right across the Ohio River. Greg spent 10 years in the United States Navy. He has a son named Eugene, who is his best friend and Squatch partner, a.k.a. son of SQUATCHMAN. Greg has been blessed to see 14 Sasquatch, along with a lot of near misses, like seconds, because they're fast. During Greg Yost's first encounter, a Sasquatch came down a hill on him and his dog Buddy while they were sitting at a campfire in an empty state forest in southern Indiana in November of 98 or 99. He describes the Sasquatch as sounding like a train coming down that hill. He was frozen, simply not believing what was happening. Immediately, the creature stopped behind a tree, and Greg could hear him breathing very loudly, like grunting almost. His dog and a lost hunting dog sat 10 feet from the tree, staring up at it like it was almost as if there was a spell on them. Buddy wouldn't come to his commands. Out of panic, Greg drew his .45 on the creature, warning him to stay there, and slowly got Buddy with his left arm and backed him away to put him in the car. He drove off 60 feet and realized he had forgotten all of his gear. He went back and hit the brights and saw a big hairy hand on the tree. While gathering his gear, he kept his .45 aimed at the tree. When he left, the other dog was still looking up at the creature. Greg Yost has been squatching ever since, and to find the truth on this phenomenon some call Bigfoot.
Very good. Thank you so much, Lauren. And anyone that wants to, you can go to the Blog Talk page on Greg, and you can see all the photos that he has submitted. There's some really awesome pictures there. And so tonight we want to welcome. Boy, I got rusty. Night Callers wants to welcome Greg Yost from Indiana. Hi, Greg. How are you doing tonight? Oh, all right. Somebody's not running the switchboard. There you are, Greg. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, yes. Well, welcome to Night Callers Bigfoot Radio. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Good evening. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, well, I'm telling you what, I'm really excited tonight because I believe that your introductory story is amazing. Is there any more you could tell us about that? This was your first experience. Did you have any idea what it was that was bearing down the hill on you like that?
No, ma'am. Growing up in the 70s, I always had a fascination with after seeing The Legend of Boggy Creek, that movie scared the wits out of me. I always kept it in the back of my mind, well, what if these things are really out there? And then about shortly around that same time, the Patterson-Gimlin film come out, and that was like icing on the cake. I mean, that's a real Bigfoot walking through that creek. So,
yes,
I always thought they was real, but I didn't think that they would be around here. I thought, if there was a Bigfoot, it was out there, out west, like in Washington or California. So, yeah, it was a shock to me. I didn't have any idea what this creature was coming down. But I could describe his footsteps. It was like, it sounded like the ground was almost shaking. Sticks was breaking, leaves just something huge coming down. And, like I said, the young lady read my bio, I was almost in shock. I was like, man, well, what in the good Lord is this? I'm a pretty wise man when it comes to sounds in the woods, and I have never heard anything like this. And then when he stopped there behind the tree, he was about 20 feet from the little picnic table I was sitting at. I had a campfire going, and I could hear him breathing. And it sounded just like this, like he had a case of asthma real bad or something, but it was like...
Oh, God.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, oh my God, man, what is this? And there was a hunting dog that come up to the fire about an hour before this happened, and he was slaying with my dog Buddy, which was a chow mix with a golden retriever. He looked like a little grizzly bear. He weighed about 125 pounds, and he usually minded me pretty good, and he was my best friend. I took him everywhere. I really loved old Buddy, and him and his hunting dog, walked up, 10 feet from his tree, staring up at it, and they just sat there. So I'm finally getting my wits together. I'm like, man, get up. You got to do something. Get up. Because I was frozen. I didn't know what to do, what to think. So I finally started getting it together, and the first thing I could remember is get my 45 in my car sitting right there. Yeah, because like I said, I didn't know what this thing was. And I know it was some kind of monster. Hearing it breathing, hearing the footsteps. It was something very, very huge. So, the whole time I'm screaming at Buddy, Buddy, Buddy. He would not turn around, wouldn't even acknowledge I was screaming at him. He's just staring right up at the tree. So I didn't want to look up there. I didn't even want to see this thing. Like I said, I had my 45 out. I pointed it at the tree. I'm walking up there to get Buddy. I'm yelling at him, look, I don't know what you are or who you are. I go, but please don't come around that tree, man. I'll light you up. I go, please. So I'm trying to grab Buddy. Like I said, he weighs 125 pounds. And I'm trying to hold my 45 up at this tree, and get leverage with Buddy, which is very hard to do. So I finally got him like in my lap, and I backed out, and I put him in the car. And I closed the door, and I jumped in, like in the bow. I backed out about 60 feet, and I remembered all my stuff sitting right there on the picnic table. I'm out in the middle of nowhere, and I needed a cigarette bad. I was shaking.
I imagine.
Yeah.
Making me want one just listening to this.
Yeah. So I hit my brakes, and I drove back up to the picnic table, and again I got out with my 45 out. I said, look, I'm just getting my stuff. And as I looked up, I seen a big old hand. As I was driving up, I looked up at the tree, and there was a big black hand with hair on it with real long fingers, and the thumb was kind of tucked in. And later I found out through my research they do that. That's a typical Sasquatch. When they see a hand, the thumb's always tucked in for some reason. So anyway, I got out. I pointed my gun back up there. I said, I'm getting my stuff. Again, please do not come out from that tree. And I got my stuff, threw it in the car, and I took off. And all the way home, I was thinking, I was about an hour from Louisville. And all the way home, I was like, well, man, these things are real. I go, they got to be, but who's going to believe this? So I kind of kept it under my hat. I mean, it was a life-changing experience, and till this day, I will never forget that night. I mean, I have seen a number of them since, and probably better.
Let me ask you a quick question. Did this one happen in southern Indiana or in Kentucky?
No, ma'am. This was in southern Indiana. Matter of fact,
I thought so. Is there a Louisville, Indiana? I didn't know there was.
No, Louisville is in Kentucky, right across the river from where I live. That's where I was born and raised at. Kentucky is very squatchy too, but most of my sightings and adventures have been in southern Indiana.
Okay. Well, could you share what happened the next time? I mean, where did you go from? After having this experience, did you just kind of sit on it a few years and then, or did it propel you into action, and did you become a researcher?
Yeah, exactly. It propelled me into action. I didn't know there was too many people out here doing this type of thing. So I took it into my own hands. I go, well, I'm going to find out everything I can about this. I'm going to, best place to look, start going out in the woods. Start seeing if I can see more. Start looking around for, unnatural things in the woods, things that aren't normal, things that regular forest creatures don't make or cannot make. And like you said, I was doing it for like 2 or 3 years. And I was starting losing faith in it because I wasn't seeing any of these things anymore, and just the one in Ferdinand. And I was starting to wonder, well, maybe it wasn't a Bigfoot that night. Maybe it was something else. You start second guessing yourself.
That's like, perfectly normal.
Yeah, exactly. And then I try to reassure myself, no, what you seen is what you seen, dude. It had to be a Bigfoot. Don't give up. Anything. I'm out in the forest. I'm hiking. I'm with my dog Buddy. We're having a great time. So either way, it's a win-win for me. So I kept doing it. And like I said, about 3 years later, this is my next encounter. Again, my loyal dog Buddy. And we were out on a trail. It was called the Non-Stone Trail. And I call this incident the stare down on Knobstone Trail. And this is by far my best incident ever. Yeah, I mean, like I told you, it has some good ones, but this one here, it was just mind-blowing. You know,
this was 3 years later from...
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Where were you?
Yeah, well, I was in southern Indiana, like I said, on the Knobstone Trail, which is a trail that goes through the hilly countryside of beautiful southern Indiana. And a lot of people compare it to the Appalachian Trail being that rugged, even though it's not nearly as long. It's only 66 miles. But I always went to this one trailhead and went in there and walked about 3 or 4 miles about 2 or 3 times a week after work. You know, it was a short walk. Then I turn around and come back. So on this one particular evening, it was in the fall. It was starting to get dark earlier. Yeah, I think this was like probably November, and it usually gets dark around 6 o'clock, 5:30. This time of the year here in Indiana. So I went straight after work, had Buddy with me, and we probably walked, 2.5, 3 miles, and I sat down for a water break, and I got Buddy's bowl out of my backpack, gave him some water, and he's sitting there drinking. I'm drinking my water, and about 30 feet in front of us, a little young buck comes walking by, a little bitty muscular thing. And his antlers were just coming up. I could see the blur on him. I mean, just a beautiful little creature. So I'm telling Buddy, I'm like, well, look at this, Buddy. I go, isn't that just beautiful? I go, this is why we come out here for, the exercise and seeing Mother Nature. I mean, I'm not a hunter. I don't like killing creatures. I like admiring them. I'm just,
you're like a gentle giant, aren't you? You're what, 6'5"?
Yeah, almost 6'6". Yeah, yes,
wow.
ma'am. I'm very gentle. I'm good-hearted. A lot of people compare me to somebody like St. Francis of Assisi. I mean, I just have a way. I just have a way with creatures. I mean, big and small, they all seem to love me. And this carries on out in the forest. Dogs love me, cats love me, birds. I mean, a bird landed at work last summer. I reached down and petted him on the head. I freaked all these people out at Reynolds where I work. They could not believe it. But I'm one of them kind of guys. I'm just one with nature. So anyway, we're sitting there drinking our water, admiring this deer walking by. And there was a big... big cover of maple, or not maple, but ivy, and like poison ivy, honeysuckle, that kind of foliage. It made like a big wall there. And the deer walked over on the other side of it, and he was gone. That was that. So I suddenly heard a big struggle. It sounded like a fight. Footsteps, branches breaking. I mean, all kinds of racket. And Buddy's ears are pointing up, looking over there, and I'm like, well, what's going on over there, Buddy? And, he's doing his lassie, and we just couldn't figure it out. So all of a sudden, this deer comes jumping out horizontal, like he got shot out of a cannon. Just flying through there. To hit the ground, take off again. We're looking over to the left, watching him take off. I'm like, wow, Buddy, look at I didn't think they could move that fast. So like I told you, I'm always talking to Buddy. That was my best friend. So I'm like, Buddy, well, what do you think? It could have scared that little feller like that. And he's still, So then I was fitting my leash on him because he has a good tendency to chase animals like that. You know how dogs are. And he just loves chasing wildlife. So I'm putting on his leash, and his head goes from left to right, and all of a sudden his lassie cry went to,
oh my goodness.
His hair stood up on his back. I mean, he was just growling, going nuts. So I'm like, oh, brother. I'm like, please don't. Even though this is what I'm out here for, please don't let it be. So as I looked up, there was two of them standing right there, 30 feet in front of me. Two Sasquatches, a brown one and a black one. And I slowly stood up. I had the leash on him. He's trying to get at him. I'm holding him back. I'm just freaking, man. I really didn't know what to do. I mean, here I am. I'm in my late 50s. I'm not going to outrun anybody.
How far were you from your vehicle?
Oh, I was 2.5, 3 miles away in deep forest. Yeah, no chance of running anywhere. I mean, it was me and them. So I stood up. Buddy was trying to get at him. He was my protector. Like a loyal dog would do, like old Joe or Rin Tin Tin, any of the dogs, that they would die for their master. And I'm sure he would have died that day if I didn't have him leashed. So anyway, I was in the Navy 10 years, and I know how to defend myself pretty well, even though I have never been up against anything like this. And I'm also pretty smart, and I know how to back down an enemy, even without a weapon. And that's by showing no fear, looking them in the eye, letting them know who's in charge. So I tried to play this, and this is the only shot I had. I didn't know what they was going to do. I mean, they just tried to kill that deer for supper. Apparently they were hungry, and I didn't want me and Buddy to be on the menu. So I just stood there, holding Buddy, staring at him. I stared at the brown one first, and he looked like an old Native American Indian chief. He like I said, he was brown. He had like brownish red hair. He was pretty big. He was probably, like you just said, I'm 6'6". He wasn't really too much taller than me, 6'7", maybe 6'8". But he was really massive, had a real big chest on him, real big, powerful-looking arms, big, strong hands. And his hairline, like an old man, it was back like on the top of his head. And his forehead was real weathered and wrinkled looking, and like I said, he looked like an old Indian chief. He had the high cheekbones. His nose was a little spread out, not real, like a big ape, nothing like that. He had a wide mouth, but his lips were thin. I mean, my lips are thicker than his, but it was wide. He had a real wide mouth, and so then I turned my attention to the other one, and he was more like 6'10", 6'11", 7 foot range, no more than 7 foot. And and I told everybody I compared this one to a miniature King Kong. I mean, he was just massive, and his hairline was right over his eyes. His hair was a lot thicker than the other guys. And he looked younger, and to be truthful with you, he looked like a light-skinned African American man. His lips was a little wider than the other ones, a little thicker lips, and his nose was a little more spread out, more like an ape, but it still wasn't real spread out. And he had a dark color to his skin. And his fur was almost jet black, and it was really, really thick, a lot thicker than the brown red one. And his chest was just massive. I mean, he was almost, I can't describe how big he was. I was trying to look at their eyes, and I was going back and forth. I looked at the brown one, back to him, and the whole time, they were looking at Buddy more than they were looking at me. I mean, to this day, I still think, did Buddy save my life that day? I mean, because he was really being aggressive and mean. I have never seen him go off like this.
Yeah.
You know, from being in Ferdinand where they had him, you know, where he just stood there and wouldn't do anything to this. So I was really impressed with him. And then this probably went on for a good 2.5, 3 minutes. So finally, you know, I was getting all kinds of emotions running through me, scared to death. Am I going to get murdered here? You know, the fascination. Oh my God, is this real? I mean, it was so, you know, so real. It just seemed like it was a dream or something. And I go, I mean, this can be happening.
Right.
And the whole time, you know, I'm like, well, when are they going to come over here? I know they're going to attack me. You know, so I'm thinking, what am I going to do? What kind of defense can I use? You know, everything like this is running through my head. So finally, I come to my senses again. I got out of the shock mode, as to say. I put Buddy's bowl in the backpack. I strung it over my shoulder, and I nugged on Buddy. I said, "Come on, Buddy, we're leaving." And I'm looking at him, but Buddy didn't want to turn his head. I had to yank him a few times. So we start walking down the trail. You know, I'm looking right at him. You know, like, hey, I'm leaving. I'm like, no harm done. You know, peace. Yeah. So I'm like, please God, don't let these creatures attack me, man. I don't want to die today.
Exactly.
So we went around a bend. And I stared at him the whole time, and I would like to say that these two guys acted like perfect gentlemen. They did not make one noise. They did not growl at me. They were just peaceful-looking beings sitting there staring at me, just as surprised to see me as I was to them. And we just kind of enjoyed each other's stare there for a couple minutes. Yeah, that's the best way I can describe it, But now, you know, I mean, I wish I could have done more. I wanted to, you know, my heart was kind of telling me to kind of reach out to them. You know, maybe try to shake their hands, give them a hug, and treat them like a real person. You know, I mean,
Buddy would never have allowed that.
No, because, again, being the unknown, I didn't know, I was looking out for me and my dog, you know, safety first. And I didn't know. I mean, like I said, they just tried to kill that deer, and I knew they was hungry. I mean, I don't think they eat humans. I don't believe in that, and I don't think they eat dogs. But if a human or a dog attack one of them, they would probably kill you.
Yeah.
But just saying. But I think I did the right thing. You know, the only thing I could do, I stared them down. I let them know I wasn't any threat, any harm to them. I had Buddy under control. Like I said, they kept watching him. They were very intrigued with Buddy. I will never forget that. They looked at him more than they looked at me.
Well, let me ask you a question. Were you sitting down when you first saw them?
Yeah, well, I was on my knees, putting a leash on Buddy, looking down at Buddy. And he looked to the right, and that's when I looked up. So I was like kneeling when I first seen him. So that's when I slowly stood up, and yeah.
Okay, I just wondered what their reaction was when you finally stood up, if they moved at all or anything.
Well, they were standing right next to that ivy, and they didn't move the whole time. You know, they didn't. They really didn't react. It was like, I mean, they seen me first. I mean, they could have very easily ducked behind that ivy. I mean, I didn't even see them until Buddy reacted to them. And so I guess apparently what happened, you know, they probably took a couple steps out watching that deer take off running, seeing if they had another crack at them maybe. And they probably didn't even see me. I mean, I'm pretty quiet out there. I don't make a lot of noise. You know, I keep it stealthy. And then when they did look over, boom. So instead of running or whatever they do, they stood there. They wanted to see me, apparently. because they did not run. They did not do anything but stand there. They were like frozen statues. I mean, I didn't even see them bat an eye. And I could tell you that their whole facial details of their eyes were like ours. You know, they were black with white in the background, just like our eyes. I mean, just totally amazing creatures.
What about ears? Did you see any ears?
Yeah, I seen them good. They were very similar to ours. You know, they were right in the same location, but they had hair on them. I mean, they wasn't just like ears sticking out of their head. Just looked like a clump of hair on the side of their head. But,
what about their neck? Did they have a neck showing, or were they kind of stooped over and seemed like they had no neck at all?
No, well, actually, they didn't have either one of them, especially the black one. They didn't have much of a neck at all. I mean, it was more like a big cone head. Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit of a neck, you know, kind of like sloping down into the shoulders. Yeah, but you know, nothing like our necks.
Right.
You know, I mean, we got long, skinny necks. These things were, nothing like ours, just massive. You know, and how they flow down into the shoulders. Yeah, I mean, they would have an appearance of no neck. But, I mean, they would have to have some kind of neck. You just can't have a head attached to shoulders. You know what I mean?
Well, I have one more question. Were they proportioned like human beings, or did they have, like, extra long arms? Were their arms longer than a human being's arms would be in proportion?
Yeah, their arms were... they were much longer than a human's would be. You know, like I said, I'm 6'6", and I got long arms, long legs, long everything, and my arms hang down, you know, close, not close to my knees, but pretty close, and these looked like they were just about right at their knees.
Wow.
I mean, I didn't stare too much from the chest down. You know, I didn't stare at their... legs, feet, genitals. You know, a lot of people go, well, what do genitals look like? I mean, I wasn't into all that. You know what I mean?
I know. I have to say the same thing. When I've had a sighting, that's the last thing I'm looking at. I just seem to be stuck on the face. You know, when I finally got to see their face, I wasn't going to look at anything else. You know, I wanted
I didn't want to look
memorize
down.
their face.
I mean, I could care less what their anything else looked like. I was just worried about... you know, what's behind them eyeballs? What's them brains thinking? You know, what are they going to do? And
well, after you went down the trail, did you think they may have followed you?
Oh yeah, it's all the way back to the car. I was.
So you could hear them?
No, I couldn't hear them, but since I seen them over there on the right, I thought they would flank me, come over to the left, and try to surprise me. So, I mean, we was a nervous wreck all the way back to the car. Wow. You know, I was looking to the left, looking to the right, you know, looking in front of me, you know, thinking they might try to come up from the front while I'm looking in the back. But I mean, I made it all the way back, incident-free, and I was sure happy to see my car.
I bet you were.
But then, on the other hand, on the way home, you know, it was like something come over me that day. Yeah, I mean, it was like, man, well, don't be scared of these people. I mean, you just witnessed it, Greg. They could have killed you right there. They could have had you and Buddy easy. They're not killers. They're not these big, dumb apes out there that are going to rip you apart. These are very intelligent, kind people, and they're just like us. And they're not out there to hurt us. I mean, I have had more incidents after that one, and I have never been threatened. I mean, the Ferdinand charge, that's what I call the first one. I mean, I'm sure he wasn't interested in hurting me. He's probably curious. You know, I'm down there by a campfire with my dog, and that's what I tell everybody. If there's going to be a downfall to Sasquatch, it's this curiosity towards humans. Yeah, they just love us, and they go out of their way to check us out.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, they follow me in the woods, I mean, all the time. Yeah, I got another story I'm about to tell you that goes with some of my pictures. But,
well, I just want to let Ricky know that, Ricky, if you have any questions, jump in, buddy. Okay. Go ahead, Greg. Oh, go ahead, Rick.
I was just going to say, when he was talking about checking out their genitalia, it's like, that is the last thing I care about. I'm looking at this guy's eyes because that's going to be the closest thing I can read to see what he's thinking and what he might be doing to anticipate his next move. I mean, if you're checking out his junk, you don't know. Who cares what's happening with that? You don't go into, you know what I mean? There's no way I'd even care what he's doing there. Now, if he's standing there peeing himself,
even ask. You know,
if he's standing there peeing himself, I'd think he's more afraid of me than I am of him.
You two keep talking at the same time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Go ahead,
Ricky.
All right, go ahead. I'm good.
No, I was going to tell you the same thing with the feet. You know, everybody said, well, how big were their feet? You know, again, that's the last thing I want to look at is their feet.
Oh, yeah.
When you encounter something out in the woods, you're looking at its eyes because you can judge what it's going to probably do by watching its eyes, watching its head. And almost always, no matter what kind of creature it is, you're going to be looking at the head. And you don't really pay attention to what the body's doing. You know, unless it's a snake.
Exactly.
Snakes are different.
Like I told you, and these are so peaceful just standing there looking at me. I mean, so in reality, they were probably just as amazed and curious as I was of them. I mean, I heard from a lot of people that they're a lot afraid of us than they are of them. Yeah, I don't see how that could be true, but I have heard that. But like I said, that day, I think I've gained mutual respect with them, vice versa, because ever since that day, I mean, it's been an awesome ride. I mean, I think he's being to really trust me.
I think so, too. Well, I think you have a way. You know, when people have a way with wildlife, then they generally have a way with Sasquatch, too. It's like they're kindred spirits. That's the way I feel. Their spirits are very similar. You know, they are also have to be, animal lovers as well. And so I really think that there's this, if they can see that in you, that you have a gentle nature, that's why women have so much more success out there as well, because they're non-threatening. And I think that's what you represent is non-threatening. Even though you are a man, and even though you are a large man, you have a gentle nature that they pick up on. And with women, you know, women tend to be gentle-natured, compassionate, soft-hearted. And if they pick these things up on you, too, then, you know, that's why you're having the success you are. So if you'd like, would you tell us another story? These are great. These are great, by the way.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, but just to add on what you just talking about, yeah, you're right. It's all about respect, and it's all about it's all about treating these people, you know, like people. I mean, they can tell your intentions, if they're good or bad, if you're trying to exploit them, if you're trying to kill them. You know, they're not going to have nothing to do with you. I mean, I feed these creatures. I interact with them. I communicate with them. I mean, there's a lot more to them than a lot of people think. And they are so more highly intelligent than us. People would not even, would never even understand you know, how smart these people are. But
well,
anyway,
a couple of weeks ago, I was remarking about a show that I had watched about the gorillas. Now, these are apes who, the apes have reasonable intelligence, but I'm pretty sure the Bigfoot have got them beat in that department by bounds. But they know if somebody comes after them with a camera or anything like that, or somebody's actively searching for them, they feel threatened. They feel as though they're being hunted. And so I think that any animal out in the woods that you're actively searching for and you are actively trying to get a picture, trying to cast their prints and all this kind of stuff, especially with Bigfoot being as intelligent as they are, they know your intentions. They can tell just by the way you're acting because your body language tells everything. You are hunting them. Maybe not to kill one, but you're hunting them for a picture. You're hunting them for a track. You're hunting to see one. You know, whatever your motivation is, it's all about I think it's really about the way you mentally handle yourself when you're out there. And I don't know if I'm explaining myself very well. But
well, exactly. Yes, it's all about heart and soul.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
they know when you're a good person, and they know when they can trust somebody, and they will open up. And when they leave you tracks and glyphs in different presents, that's telling you they trust you and they like you. And I'm at that point now. That's what I'm doing with these people. And I'll tell you about that here later on in the interview.
But I have one more question. I do. I have one more question. Okay, there's a television series that has come out, and it's called Killing Bigfoot. Do you think they're going to have any success?
Oh, no, none at all.
I don't either. And why don't you think so?
Well, for one thing, again, back to being highly intelligent creatures, I mean, these things can't even be detected on people's trail cams they got out. You know, more or less a bunch of idiots out trying to shoot one. Yeah, I mean, I've been told that they can smell gunpowder a mile away. And like you said, they're not going to be hanging around somebody out there trying to put a hole in their head.
Exactly.
And then on top of that, I have a few good friends. Like I'm real good friends with Matthew Johnson, and he says Bigfoots cannot be killed. He's going to say it at his Bigfoot show in Washington, April 21st, by the way. Me and my son were flying out there. We cannot wait. But, yeah, I believe in that. I mean, maybe they can, maybe they can't. I don't know. But I don't think anybody, you know, out hunting them. I mean, that's why there's never been a dead one. I mean, they're not going to let themselves be shot. They're too smart for that. I mean, if anybody wanted to be the hunted, you know, Bigfoot could have every one of them guys, you know, broken half in one night if they wanted them people. But they're not killers. And the thing about that show, they're talking about killing a rogue Bigfoot. Oh, come on, give me a break, a rogue. I mean, how do you know a rogue Bigfoot from a good Bigfoot? I mean, it's just a TV show. They're trying to get rich off Bigfoot, and it's a bunch of baloney. And I would never waste 5 minutes of my time watching a show like that. Yeah, I mean, you don't got to kill Bigfoot to prove he's real anyway. I mean, it's fine if people don't want to believe. That's fine. You know, the scientific community does not want to believe with all this evidence that's produced. Yeah, they must be a bunch of idiots too out there.
I think there's a lot of money involved and tied up in that. I think it's all about money.
Oh yeah, there's millions of dollars in Bigfoot.
If they actually admit that there is a Bigfoot, then they would have to. There's no way they're going to round them up. So they would basically just have to make every national forest a Bigfoot reserve. And then if they're seen outside the reserve, well, then there's, in other words, I think they'll be treated like an indigenous person. But they'll have to have a reservation, basically. And that means no more logging, no more oil and gas, and all. But I hate to stop this right here, but we do need to go to intermission. So, Greg, if you'll take a break, when we come back, everybody, Greg is going to tell us some more great stories. So thanks for listening in, everyone, and we'll be back in a moment. Okay, welcome, everyone, back to Night Callers Bigfoot Radio. Tonight we're talking to Indiana big Sasquatch researcher, Mr. Greg Yost. And, Greg, are you back with us?
Yes, I am.
Well, you have several more stories to share with us, so go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Well, the next one, I hate to say since the last one, I had to put Buddy down. He was going on 16 and he couldn't walk anymore. So that was
I had that
hard
same thing with my. I know. I have a dog just like that, and if that she lived to be 15 years old, and I lost her. And if she's not in heaven when I get there, I'm going to be upset.
Yeah,
so
me too.
Just want to say that.
Yeah, we got a lot more squatching to do.
Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Oh, hey, you know how that goes, ma'am.
Yes, I do.
It's probably the hardest thing in life besides your loved ones.
I know. It's like it would be to lose a child, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah,
especially when this dog would give up his life for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you that last story. I do remember telling Buddy. I said, look, Buddy, I go, if they attack us, you take the brown one, I got the black one, and if we don't make it, I'll see you in heaven, boy. You kind of reminded me of that when you said that. And so, yeah, I mean, that's how good this dog was. So I really missed him. So anyway, on this next adventure, I still wasn't going to, I started telling my family, my son and my daughter and people and my wife, ex-wife, on again, off again kind of thing. And she's like, oh, my God, Greg, well, what are you seeing out there? You're crazy. Them things ain't real. And then Eugene said, oh, Dad, man, come on, brother, you're chasing a myth. Yeah, them things ain't real.
Right now.
Yeah, exactly. And my daughter, she laughed at me, and Greg, them things are make-believe. And I'm like, whatever.
You get a thick skin, don't you? After a while, you get a thick skin because you know what you know. And no matter what anyone says to you, it's like, well, I used to think just like you. Yeah. Yeah,
my own family didn't believe in it, so who else would? So as time went on, I'm like, hey, well, screw this. I started telling people at work, hey, I'm a Bigfoot and I'm seeing Bigfoots, and they're all laughing at me, and, well, where's your evidence? Where's your evidence? And I'm like, well, I ain't got no pictures of them. They're like, oh, bull, them things ain't real. You see Santa Claus out there, too? And I just heard everything. So I started going out by myself. I'm like, well, I'll just go out by myself. I don't need all this. People don't believe me. I mean, that's their problem. So this one day, it was in March, right at the end of March, the beginning of April, the leaves were just starting to sprout. Spring was amongst us. And I was walking down another trail going to a hot spot area that I like researching. I found a lot of neat stuff out there. And as I'm walking down this trail, over to the right, I see this black furry object hanging out from around a tree. So I look over there, and he's gone, like a bolt of lightning, just a flash. So I'm like, what in the... and I hear noises, sticks breaking and leaves smashing around. So I go, there's something over there. So I kept walking, and I seen it out of the corner of my eye again. So I looked over again, I got a better look at it that time. It was a little bitty squatch up in a tree hanging around looking at me. So I looked at him and he chuckled.
I mean, was it like 3 or 4 feet tall, or?
Yes, ma'am. I estimate
it was
about 3.5.
It was a baby.
Yeah, I'd say right at 3.5 foot. And I named him Curious George. You know, them were some of the pictures I sent you. Because this little guy was curious.
And they're on the slideshow, everyone.
So I'm like, well, here you go, big guy. I go, here's your proof. I go, you have got to get a picture of this one. So I got a little
what about the mama? I mean, the mama had to be around somewhere.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure Mom and Dad, I'm sure they was all around. But again, I was at the point in my life now. I mean, I was hoping for interaction. I'm not afraid of them anymore. And I wasn't going to, you know, a lot of people say, well, how come you didn't run over and get closer and this and that? I mean, you never run after one. That's a sign of aggression. I mean, you're going to get hurt if you chase a baby, believe me. I mean, you take what they give you. I mean, if he was going to show himself to me like that, I'm sure it was a very dumb mistake on his part. It was probably a training mission, a training exercise or a mission. You know, like you said, his dad and mom was probably right there teaching him, you know, how to look at humans but stay away from them. I mean, I hate to tell Curious George, but he did feel miserable that day because he followed me about 100 yards, and I did manage to get him on 4 pictures, and 3 of them that I sent you are just really good. I mean, there ain't no mistake about it. It's a Bigfoot, and it's a little one.
I wonder, do you think they have the good intuition about people even at a young age like that? You know, human children can be so trusting. And I'm wondering if they have to grow into their own judgment through experience like humans do, or do they have do you think that they have like a natural instinct?
I think it is taught to them to a certain degree. I mean, I kind of look like them too. I got long hair, I wear it in a ponytail, and I got a real long beard, and I really think that has something to do with it.
On top of that, your height. Yeah,
my height. I mean, I'm a squatchy looking kind of guy, and I think he could relate to me. And plus, this is one of my, I call them hot spots. So, and I believe there's 12 of them here. And I think this is part of the clan, you know, which I call, you know, a family, a group, whatever they are. And I think they already know me, and they're like, well, we can trust this guy. Go ahead and check him out. He's not going to shoot us or manipulate us or exploit us. You know, we like this guy. I mean, they follow me around. I mean, I got more stories after this one. You won't believe some of these stories. But anyway, you know, they feel at ease with me. And this is, you know, I have took pictures. I got 5 Bigfoot pictures, but they have kind of let me know that that's it. They don't want me to take no more. So I'm not, and they don't want me to take audio of them. I got more audio I'm going to tell you here shortly. You know, they don't like their pictures taken, and they don't like getting caught on trail cam, and they don't like getting caught on audio. You know, that they don't want people to know they're out there. But the people that believe and trust that they know they're out there, they're going to interact with you. I mean, you understand? It's kind of, you know, some people won't, but that's in the order what you got to do. So on this one day, I mean, he followed me 100 yards, and I was hearing so much noise over there. And on some of them pictures, I had some buddies that said they got their dad. Yeah, his dad was in there. Yeah, I mean, I don't see it very good, but these people swear up and down he's standing there. Another guy said that they see 2 or 3 of them in there. So I mean, wherever I go, it seems like they're around me. You know, again, what I told you earlier, they're just curious and humans. And when they got a good-hearted one with good intentions like mine, I think they're gonna just like us. I mean, they live out in the woods. They don't have nothing to do. I'm their entertainment.
You're their
I come
TV.
out there. Hey, all right, here comes Greg, man. Let's have some fun. I mean, I have clock rocks, so they clock back at me. I have tree knocks. They communicate with me with tree knocks. I'll do 3, they'll do 3. I'll do 3, they'll do 3. I mean, it's amazing what they do to me. And
well,
it's the same place.
Your son Eugene, is he a believer now? And what happened?
Oh yes,
to make him a
big
believer?
believer. Oh
well,
yeah,
what did
he's
you
a
do?
huge believer.
Take him to a good spot, or how did that happen?
Oh yeah, I took him right to my hot spot, and one day I was at work. I work a lot, and he went out there by himself, and they probably didn't like him too well as of then. They like him now, but one of them threw a rock at him, and that rattled him pretty good. So he come home that day and said, "Yeah, Dad, you're right. I believe in him, man. One just threw a rock at me, and they was grunting at me." So I'm like, "Yep, there you go." So they started going out with me, and now they know he's my son. And when we have been left presents, like in a creek, they left a stick, a big Y and a little Y. Our last name's Yost. They left a big rock in the big Y and a little rock in the little Y. Yeah, that's a present for me and him. So, I mean, that was really cool.
Wow.
And when we gift them donuts, bananas, apples. I got audio of them talking right behind camp, 100 feet behind camp at my hot spot.
And what did it sound like? Was it like a language or just grunting and huffing at each other? Or what was it that you heard?
Yeah, well, I had an audio back by the gifting stump where I had my food, and one of them come up and he was either tapping on the bowl, he tapped on it, or the audio, I don't know which one, and he let out something that sounded almost just like this. And
wow.
And then you heard him walk off. He broke a stick off a tree and then whacked it, did a tree knock.
Uh-huh.
And then I picked up more of them eating the donuts. I had 30 donuts at the time. You could hear them back there. You know, and one of them even went, kind of like, good. Yeah, I got walking around all night. Just really weird stuff. I mean,
and I didn't think they like bananas, but maybe it's citrus they don't care for. Oranges and tomatoes, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think they, I had grapefruit and oranges. Yeah, they don't like citrus.
Mm-mm.
But it's stuff, stuff they can't get, and something that a good friend of mine, Michelle Clark, if you're listening, she told me garlic. They really like garlic because it takes care of fleas and tick problems.
Oh.
I mean, that makes a ton of sense. And
yes.
Michelle even sent me, a real cool book. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's Enoch, a Bigfoot story, where she sent me that and a bag of garlics. And I'm going to go out Friday, and we're going to put the garlic out and see if her friends like it. So I can't wait for that little experiment.
Autumn Williams. Didn't Autumn Williams write the book Enoch?
Yes, ma'am. Autumn Williams. That's him.
Yes.
And I'm in the process now of reading it. She was so good to me. She read it and sent it right to me. And I'm going to read it and send it to somebody, kind of pass it around, share it. Yeah, so far I like it. It's a really good book.
Well, Autumn Williams used to be a very prominent Bigfooter out in the community, and then she brought that book out. There was so much controversy about the book that she just finally said, "I've had it with all of you," and just disappeared. I mean, she still is in contact with people, some people that she considers close friends and all, but as far as everyone else out here in the community, she's disappeared. And it was because of this book. This book meant a lot to her, and she believed in it. And I think that it was considered too far out by most of the community, and she realized that it was she was receiving so much backlash off of it that she just decided that, hey, I know what I know what I know. If you don't believe, you'll get there eventually. And that's the way she feels about it. So you'll find that book very interesting. It's very mind-opening, and it does give you, I haven't read it yet, so if you ever want to send it to somebody, I would love to read it. So send it to me. I'll take a look at it.
Hey, no problem.
Anyway.
And, I'll get your address after the show, whatever.
Okay. So, continue on,
back
please.
to her, though. I don't blame her for getting out of the community. I mean, there's a lot of... there's a lot of hate and discontent going on. I can't believe some of the stuff I see and hear.
I've been in this for 17 years. It has not changed. It hasn't gotten better. It hasn't got worse. It stays the same. It's just a new set of faces. And I don't understand, there's so many good researchers that have just hung up their computer, unplugged it, and went out on their own, and no telling what they're getting that we'll never
see or hear.
They will never share. Yeah, they'll never share with us because there were trolls out there that I don't know. Sometimes I think these people are hired by the government just to shut down researchers, but
just to shut them down.
Yeah, but
I
don't ever give up. Don't ever give up, Greg. Please, because no matter what anyone says to you.
No, you got to have tough skin in this hobby.
Yes.
I call it a hobby because that's all it is to me. I'm not an expert. I don't claim to be an expert, and I'll never be an expert. But I can tell you what I am. I'm an artist, hardworking, intelligent man who has a love and passion for this, and I will never give it up. People can hate on me all the time. I know what it is. I know it's real, and you can think what you want. And if you don't agree with me or you don't think, Bigfoot's not real, I'm sorry, man. You'll get out of your cubicle, get off the grid, get out in the woods, go do your own research. Don't ridicule me or all these other hard-working people that's got countless hours out in the woods so you can sit back in your easy chair, calling us a joke. No, I don't care for that. And I'll get in arguments all day long with them kind of people. Because I told you, they're real.
That's right. I've said this many times. We would not know what we know if not for the Sasquatch researcher, the Bigfoot researchers out there. Because, you can write a book and have never had a sighting and make a ton of money off that book. But what do we know? We don't know anything from that book. What we know is what we've seen for ourselves out there and also what others have shared. And if not for their hard work, giving up their money, many times giving up their relationships, families, everything else, Well, I'm hearing a very strange noise. It's kind of spooky.
It might be Bigfoot.
Anyway, well, I have my windows open, and it's possible. They've been known to come out here. So anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead. We have 18 minutes left, so I think you have time to tell us one more story.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you. Well, actually, I think I got time for two more quick ones. I can get them in.
Great.
Okay.
I'll try not to interrupt.
Okay. I mean, these are both really super cool, too. I really like telling them. Well, one day I was out. I call it the Enchanted Creek. And then this is in my hot spot. I find everything in here. And I have a lot of sightings. My son has, my friends have. Yeah, I've taken Connie Willis out here before. Where she's missed one by a second. I seen one that day. And this was after that sighting. I think that one there was Curious George. I seen with Connie that day. But anyway, on this day, I was out by myself. And there was a baby print and a toddler print right next to each other. So I'm like, oh, my God, this is so cool. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody has a baby print out there. I've never seen one. And it was so cool. And this was in cold winter time, too. No kids out running around out in the middle of the woods barefooted. You know what I mean? So I knew exactly what it had to be. So I got my paraplaster out, I always carry. So there's a creek right there, headwaters. I mixed them up, and I poured them in there, and and I was really happy, man. I found them, and I was down there looking at them, thinking, were they holding hands walking through here? Was Mama with them? I mean, was Mama over there watching me? Are they over there? I mean, it looked pretty fresh. So I'm doing all this, and I look up to the left out of the corner of my eye. I see a big dude walking down the ridge, all brown, like a UPS outfit. So I'm like, well, what's this guy doing out here walking out here? So I give him full attention and look up there, and that guy is about a 8.5, 9-footer. I think it was a woman. I think I even seen breast on her, and really tall, like kind of reminded me of like a shack body, tall, big, but not real big, kind of lanky, and it was walking right down the ridge line, the arms swinging, the hands cupped. It was almost like that Patty video. So I was just in amazement, man. I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe this. I'm like, well, I hope she don't look down here. I don't want a confrontation or nothing. And she didn't even look, man. Just walked down the ridge, 7 or 8 steps, about 5.5, 6 foot steps. And she walked over the ridge line, and I'm getting a chill right now thinking about it. But it was like, oh my God, I cannot believe this. So I was almost shaking, man. So I got my prints out of the mud there, out of the creek, and I got them, went home. And, like I said, this is after, I quit taking pictures or videos, nothing like that. I told them I wouldn't, they showed me enough. I don't need to see no more. But whatever I do now is just for my, eyeballs only. I promise them, man, I'm going to keep to my word. So I could have had a perfect video that day. So anyway, the next one, I was off. It was a Wednesday morning, and I got up at 5 o'clock, and something kept telling me, get to the forest, get to the forest. I mean, this was a really strong, I'm not going to say voices in my head. I don't know what it was, but something kept urging me, get up there, get to the forest, man, get up there. So I put my coat on, I put my house shoes on. I wasn't going hiking, I just wanted to get to the forest. I stopped at Thornton's and got a cup of coffee, and I got up there. Instead of going to my hot spot, I kept driving to the horse park of the forest. I've never been to this area before. I don't have a horse. I don't go, I don't need to go to the horse park where the people with horses go camping. I mean, this was dead of winter anyway. There wasn't a soul in the park. 5:30 in the morning. Sunlight was, daybreak was just around the corner. It was just barely starting to get light. So I pull into the horse park, and I got a Jeep. It was like I drove exactly where I was supposed to drive to. This was like a dream. It was so real. And I see a guy, a person, something down here on the wood line to the right, all the way back in the corner of the park. The whole park's cleared out where they got tie-downs for the horses, camping areas, a couple stables. and then over to the back of it is the woods. And this thing was walking up the wood line there. So I get out of my Jeep. I stand in front of it with my coffee. So I'm like, this guy looked like he had Carhartts on. So I'm like, well, what's this guy doing out here with Carhartts on? 5:30 in the morning. So I got my eyes peeled on him. I'm watching him. He's getting closer. And then I noticed that he was a big, tall, beautiful Squatch, red, flowing, long hair. He had a gray beard. It looked exactly like mine. I mean, identical to my beard. He had long red hair parted in the middle. I mean, he almost looked like Chewbacca off Star Wars. I mean, he was just so awesome. And he walks right in front of me, 30, 40 feet over to the wood line. And I'm sitting here staring at him and just wild. And he looks over at me. He didn't slow down once. He didn't make any noises. Kept the same stride. And he just stared right into my eyes. And you wouldn't believe the feeling I got. Just so good of a feeling. And he took a couple more steps down to the end. And he walked down into the woods. And he disappeared. So I'm like, I raised my hands. And I said, thank you. Thank you, my friend. I mean, he gifted me. This was all about. So I go home. And Eugene, he works at Amazon. He was off, too. So he was just getting up, too. I said, hey, dude, I just seen another Squatch. And he's like, oh, yeah, right, Dad. He goes, how you see so many? And I'm like, I don't know, son. I don't know. So he's like, well, let's go up there. So we went up there, and right where he walked at, it was still kind of dewy, kind of frosted over, but you could see his footsteps, all the way down where I just described, walking into, and when we walked down that path, and it was down through the ridge. So it was a very, very interesting morning. And then that was probably one of my, wildest encounters. It was just out of, just going up there, something driving me up there.
How long ago was that?
Oh, this was only last year.
Yeah.
A lot of my encounters
like
have been, like the one I was telling you about Connie. This was right around that same time. It seems like lately I see them all the time. Almost every time I go out now.
It doesn't matter what time of year it is. They seem to stay in the area. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, ma'am. These, the ones I've been hanging with, they don't, they don't migrate. They don't leave. I can find them in dead of winter, the summer heat, spring, fall. I've had encounters all 4 seasons. It doesn't matter. It's just amazing, how many times, I've been seeing them lately. Like I was telling you, when I went out with Connie, me, her, and my son, she does a radio show Coast to Coast sometimes with George Norrie. I don't know if you ever heard of that show.
Yes, I have.
We're real good friends, and I took her out, and we're finding stuff left and right. She found a size 30 footprint. Me and Eugene, we had a 27, a 24. Just stuff everywhere. It was so epic that day. And I'm out in front of them, about 10 feet in front of them. And Connie, she's really into Bigfoot. She's really into it, loves it. And anyway, I found a print, pretty nice one. So I was going to turn around, and I said, hey, I got another one. And I was turning to the left, I looked back there to tell them, I meet a Bigfoot standing over on another tributary of the main creek, about 70 feet away. And he looked just like Curious George, the one I told you about earlier. But now he's about 6 feet tall. And this is a year, almost exactly to a year. So, I really think it was George. So anyway, he's standing over there, and I'm standing here, and I'm looking right eye to eye. So I'm processing this. I'm like, oh, my God, is that So by the time I said, Connie, look, a Bigfoot. he took one step and jumped up on the ridge and took off running. And my son seen the back of him, and Connie didn't see him. So we walk over to the little tributary there, and there was a big footprint. And the whole creek was crystal clear, but this footprint had that muddy water in it. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, where he jumped right out, right. And there was a log there with a bunch of wood chips. He was sitting there, scraping the hell out of this logger by the creek. So anyway, that was a great day. And if you got time for another quick one,
yes, we do. We have 7 minutes. So
okay, well, I'll get it in. Our last camping trip, me and my buddy John Gregory, he's on my team, and another guy, George Follett, he's from Idaho. He flew all the way in here from Idaho to go with us. So we're out at the base camp, and I don't like people using equipment, but George wanted to know what thermal binoculars was, thermal imaging devices. So my friend John Gregory had some, so I'm like, well, go ahead, man, let them look out there in the woods. Let them see what they do. As soon as he looked out there, he's like, oh my God, Squatch, man, there's one sitting over there watching us. So I'm like, put it down, man, put it down. So he put it down, and so I said, George, did you see one? He goes, I swear to God, man, there's one right over there. And the night he got home, went back to Idaho, he drew a picture of it. It's on my timeline if you'd like to check it out. Okay. And but later that Sunday when we were leaving, we're all sitting there, we're all packing up, getting ready to leave, and down there in the woods, there was a real loud, like 7 or 8 tree knocks. So I said, hey, y'all shut up, man. He's communicating. So I did 3. He did 3. I did 3 more. He did 3. I did 3 more. He did 3. And they quit. So Eugene and George walked down the ridge down there. They wanted to see if they could see him. And there was a watch hanging down there in a tree. So Eugene yells up to me, hey, Dad, there's a watch down here hanging in a tree. So I'm like, well, be careful, man. I was up here standing on the top of the hill watching them. So I see a movement to the left. So about 100 feet back behind them, there was about a 9-10 foot squatch sitting there behind a tree watching them. So they was walking right towards them. So I yelled out and I said, hey, watch out. There's a biggie down there 100 feet in front of y'all. And he looked up at me, man, like, you SOB. And then he took 2 steps. Yeah. He forgot about me. I caught his ass off guard. And he was focusing on Eugene and George. So that was pretty cool. And
so what do you think the watch was? Do you think it was the Bigfoot baiting the human beings with a watch?
Yeah, well, we were trying to figure that out. I mean, it was stuck on 9:15. I mean, did he take that from another camper at another time? Was he sending us a message with was that a Bible quote from a book? 9:12, 9:15. We tried to figure every angle out on this one. There's just another mystery in the Bigfoot phenomenon. But it was a pretty good catch, though. I really see how they can move now. I mean, they can really hide behind them trees. That's why I like calling them tree huggers. I mean, because they are always hugging on trees.
The original one.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are you wanting? Well, we have enough time for one more question, and unless Rick has one. Rick, do you have a question? I guess Rick's not listening. I don't know. Anyway, my question is, Greg, what do you where do you want to go with this? What is the experience that you hope to have?
Oh, that's easy to answer. Like I tell everybody, I'm looking for, that total face-to-face interaction. you know, where I can stand chest to chest and stare them in the eye, you know, and just, you know, go from there. You know, I mean, you know, I want the total interaction with these people. You know, I mean, I wouldn't mind even hanging with them.
Right.
You know, living with them, so to speak. You know, not living with them, but living amongst them. You know, I mean, they're out there, they're everywhere. I mean, there's been sightings in every state but Hawaii. You know, I mean, there's not one or two of these things running around. You know, I'm thinking more of like 500,000 or more.
Yes.
So I mean, yeah, I want to, I want to get to the bottom of this. I want them to totally trust me, you know, and show me their ways. You know, speak to me, let them know where they're from. You know, teach me their history. I want to know everything about them. I mean, these beings have been around a lot longer than man has. And I do believe they are godly creatures because I believe I have proof of them. Speaking of R2 Yewal, I got that on my recorder. I got one speaking in English with the words Yewal.
You mean Yahweh?
So, I mean, yeah, Yahweh. Yeah, it's pronounced different ways, but yeah, it's another word for God. So, I mean, I really solely believe that they're godly creatures.
If you got face-to-face to one, like, no joke, face-to-face, what's the first thing you'd do?
Honestly, I would just stand there staring. I mean, I wouldn't want to, you know, make any, you know, aggressive moves. I wouldn't run. I wouldn't act afraid because really, I'm not afraid of them.
You wouldn't say,
I mean, I do not fear them at all. I mean, I do not carry weapons into the woods. I don't carry guns. You know, with me, it's all about heart and soul. Like I told Laura, I'm not into hurting them or exploiting them. I want them to totally trust me. And, you know, I want them to, you know, the total interaction.
Well, I think if anybody has the interaction, you will. Go ahead, Rick.
You don't carry any firearm now?
No, that's since that first time in Ferdinand. As a matter of fact, I have sold that gun since, and, yeah, I don't, sometimes I carry a baseball bat. Yeah, I think I got a walking stick, and there's no bears or reported cougars or anything like that in Indiana. So, I mean, there's not really no predators to worry about. I mean, I understand other Bigfooters need to carry that stuff. You know, out in Montana, Colorado, Washington. Yeah, you got bears and cougars. I mean, them things will kill humans. But here in Indiana, I'm lucky enough where I don't have them kind of predators. So I really don't need to arm up like that.
That's awesome.
And if anything does come my way, like a wolf or a rabid coyote, I'll smack him in the head with that Louisville slugger. I don't feel too good.
Well, this show we're out of time. I just want to tell you, Greg, you've been a wonderful guest, and I have really enjoyed this show very much. And I would love to meet you one day. Honestly and truly, I would love to meet you one day. Maybe I'll make my way to Indiana sometime, and you can take me out in the woods and show me your friends. I would love that.
You sound like a very sincere, down-to-earth person. I love doing that. I love good people.
Well, you can always just get the vibe off of me. If you don't think I would fit among your friends, then you could just take me to an area where they might be instead of where they are, and I would understand completely. But that would be awesome.
Well, I already got good vibes off you, so you don't got to worry about that. That's another good thing. I'm real good at character judgment. And what few good people's left in this world, I can judge them pretty good.
I know what you mean. I sure do. Well, thank you, Greg, for coming on. And I want to tell you, your stories were great, and we'd love to have you back. Because I'm sure by the time we have you back, you'll have seen at least 5 more.
Hey, it's been my pleasure, and I'd love to come back anytime, Laura. I appreciate it.
Okay. Well, everyone, we're going to go ahead and call it a show. Next week we have David Ford. He is the one who acted and directed Something in the Woods. But he is also going to be at the conference at the end of next week. So he'll be on at the beginning of next week on our show and at the conference at the end. So everyone, come and join us next Monday. And we'll see y'all later. Everyone say good night.
All right, thank you.
Good night, everybody. I'm trying to find the outro. Here we go.
Thank you for listening to Night Callers Bigfoot Radio.